Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the Volan Guide. Today I'm going to be telling you how to get the most out of the encounter and also how to not get completely slaughtered every couple of minutes. Now this is Volan. When the encounter starts, I initially suggest you are either on one of the platforms. If you are down below where the disciples will be lined up beforehand, then you will probably get completely annihilated by his initial jump, as that pretty much destroys everything on the ground. But if it's your first time there, you'll probably want to get completely annihilated because you also get an achievement for it. Now, during the first initial phase, what you want to do is you'll want to stay near either of the jump pads, and as soon as they turn orange, jump them. This will intercept his chest beam ability and give you a reactive ability to use. Now wait 10 seconds before you use this, as what it does is it does an initial bit of damage and then does additional damage over 10 seconds, but it stacks up. The more stacks, the more damage, so you're dealing quite a bit of damage to the boss. As you can see, I'm getting 250k ticks here, and also increasing the duration. Now, if you fancy a bit of melee action, what you can do is below Volan, throughout pretty much every phase, there'll be these blue sort of power cells that spawn. Running over them gives you a buff which increases both your run speed and also ability to jump. And if you're melee, you're going to need it because there's going to be a lot of stuff. For example, he swipes his hand, which is advisable to dodge. He also stomps both of his feet, which deal about sort of 10k damage each. It's not too advisable to take these hits, so what I'd probably suggest doing is avoiding them, but then again, it's not too much of a problem if you do get hit by them, as they are not a one-shot ability, and there tends to be a fair few healers about for Volan. So what you want to also do is in this phase make sure you tag both the right leg, left leg and also chest of Volan. That way when these parts of Volan die, you will get 30 stones each for each piece of Volan that you have tagged. Now once you've killed all 3 pieces in the first phase, he will have a bit of a rampage, jump over a bridge and then head down to this area. As you can see, he's annihilating everything in front of him with a beam, so at this point make sure to stand behind him, or if you take a couple of ticks from that beam, it's most likely, unless you got a friendly healer or 2 standing by, that you're going to die. So at this point 2 magical chains will spawn and chain Volan down. But being Volan, he can't be caged for long. His rage will slowly build up, and when the bar at the top of your screen fills up, he will have a bit of a rampage even, and break free. Now, he can also break free early if the chains are destroyed, and being Volan and having quite a few friends for being so awesome, there will be creatures from the plane of life trying to attack these restraints that hit quite hard and also have a fair bit of health. Now, you can either choose to nuke the tail a bit or defend the restraints. It's entirely up to you. I always just go for nuking the tail, because if you get the tail down in this phase of the encounter, it doesn't make too much of an impact overall, and I prefer it sort of in the last phase. So as you can see, the chain on the right there was destroyed, and it looks like the left one with the amount of life invasions there is about to go down as well. As you can see, he's got his right hand free now, and he's making the most of it by smacking the raid. If you stand slightly to the left of the tail, then you can avoid getting smacked by his big hand, which hits for about 14k on the average player, and also gives you a bit of a knockback. So as you can see, the right chain has just been destroyed, and Volan is free to continue his rampage. Now, instead of having a bit of a strop, he seems to just continue on and take his aggression out on this rather fortified wall, which under the might of Volan doesn't seem so fortified after all. And he'll have a bit of a rampage into a place called the Bio Foundry. At this point you can't attack him or do anything, so the best thing to do is just follow him, listen to his story. He'll go off on about how he's the last of the Cartharians, and you know, get a bit of interesting lore and insight into the next patch. So when you get to this phase, there are 9 attackable parts, and you will want to make sure you tag every single one. So my suggestion is you get round the back of him and you individually click or tab through every single part. You can tell which parts you have tabbed and clicked through by leaving a dot on them, which I strongly advise to do. Once you've done all that, then you feel free to nuke whichever part of Volan you like. They're all going to go down at the same. Personally, I like to start by killing all the power cells on his back, but occasionally, like I'm just doing now, I just end up sort of, laying waste to random parts. Now, as you will be able to see, what he does in this phase mainly is he slowly faces an area and then extends his hand out, and you've about 5 seconds to react to this, and then he starts frying the platform. After he's finished frying the platform, he'll leave a sort of large green swirly circle on that platform, which will deal additional damage every time you go on there. So basically, avoid platforms that he's frying, and avoid platforms that he has recently fried. You can, hop between them easily by using the porters. Every now and again, Volan gets a bit tired from his antics of beating up all these ascended and decides to take, a bit of a rest break. At this point, you can jump on his back, and what happens is every 3 seconds you will get a buff which causes your attacks to deal an additional sort of 17k damage, which is quite a bit. So it's suggestible whenever he's kneeling that you get on his back and just, nuke various parts of him, etc. I strongly suggest for this phase and pretty much the encounter in total being a ranged class, as you will have a lot more fun and there's a lot more stuff to do. So this is the second to last phase with Volan's head. As you can see, what he's going to do is he's going to start casting his Laser of Death and then spin around, spamming a total of 2 of the platforms. Now what you want to do is you want to stay close to the middle jumper. When you see him casting this towards your platform, quickly jump on here. That way you can jump over it instead of trying to outrun it, and just go to the other side and be wary of the beam. If you get hit by that beam and take more than 2 ticks, and you don't have a friendly neighborhood healer, it is most likely that you will meet an untimely demise. Now, as Volan is doing now, this is also why it's a good reason to stay near the center ones. He charges up his head. Now, this only tends to happen either 1 or 2 times during the course of this phase. There is an achievement for this, so it's well sought after. So, you want to stay that. You want to intercept the head and shoot the beam back at him. It works similar to the one in phase 1, so ideally wait 10 seconds if you can, but if not, it is not a problem. Just fire it back as soon as possible. So also, he does take a knee in this phase. You can get on his back and deal a bit of damage to him. You also get the damage boost, and this is mainly where the wrecking of his head commences. As you can see, I'm currently spec'd as an Inquisitor and pulling out a moderate amount of DPS and damage to him. As you can see here, we've been a bit unlucky as we've got flung back and then instantly lasered by his giant laser eyes, or whatever's firing out the lasers. I'm not actually too sure which component of him actually does the lasers. Might be the mouth, might be laser mouth. Not entirely sure where he's spewing that from. Probably have to get a decent more look. It looks like he is in fact conjuring lasers from his mouth, so maybe he needs to lay off the Fanta. Okay, we are lucky enough to get another head charge armor, so we'll quickly intercept that and then fling that back at him. This time I'm going to wait a bit, just to show you that it works the same as in phase 1, and it will deal an increased amount of damage if you do wait until everybody else has put their stacks. You see some lovely 390k ticks over every 2 seconds for 10 seconds, but it's pretty much useless because he's already dead. So now he's going to move into the final phase. What you want to do in the final phase is there is no point being on the roof. It will give you pretty much no advantage, and also it's much better to be on the ground for the reasons that what he's doing, as you can see, is he's swiping on the roofs. He's knocking people off. Now that on its own isn't too bad, but he's going to keep on doing that constantly. And combined with his other ability, which you are about to behold, what he does is he drops on the floor and basically sort of spews a load of bile toxin everywhere, which is going to deal quite a bit of raid damage. It's going to deal about sort of 15-16k to everyone over the course of about 5 seconds. So if what he does is he knocks you off and then spews the bile toxin, then it's pretty much going to kill you if you don't have a moderately strong heal or big heal. So what I'd probably suggest doing if you don't have any sort of healer tool, just look out for the healers. Look in your raid frames, then what you can do is if you click on them, then you'll target them, and then a little sort of green icon will appear on the map, and then just move towards them. They'll probably be on the ground as well if they're, reasonably smart. And what you can do is just stay near them and ensure that, you won't get killed by the bile or anything else he does. Okay, so that is it for the video, guys. I hope this has been of, some use to someone. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to either like it or send me your firstborn child, whichever, suits you. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely day.